Hi, it's Karen Brady with Black Swan Journals, and today let's make a quick and easy mixed media card. I had this really pretty deckled paper in my stash, and it was a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and I folded it into 6 by 6 square. And here is something kind of funny. Have you ever forgot you had something and you bought it twice? So embarrassing. But yeah, I did that. But I really like this stamp set because it's got the word you and for, and then you can mix all these other words up. But I'd like to give away that other stamp set that hasn't been used. Coming up in future videos, I think I'm going to make some other things and have a collection of things to give away. So, and that stamp set could be included. So here I've got a base piece of cardstock I cut 6 by 6. That is 110 pound, which is probably like 320 GSM. And I'm using this because I want the card to be equal weight when I'm done, so it stands up nicely and it feels nicely and it's evenly weighted. So the top is going to have layers and get dimensional, so it'll add weight. So the bottom, I'd like to have equal weight, which is the purpose of that piece of heavier cardstock on the bottom. So I glued that down there. And I've got this stamp here that I've never used, and it's a big background stamp, a 6 by 6 stamp. And I'm going to use embossing ink and embossing powder, gold, and that's going to be really pretty. And then the deer, we're going to also emboss that as well. So I didn't really have much of a plan here. Like I had a little bit of a plan, but I just kind of wanted to kind of do it with you on the fly and see what happens. And so I make some decisions kind of on the go. Like I'm thinking about maybe using these in the end of the card and thinking about maybe using those flowers and the distress inks, and some other things I've got laying around as possibilities. Yeah. So I'm going to attach that card base. Actually, I'm going to attach that now. And here's the amount of glue that I use. You could also use score tape. It's like a double-sided tape. You could use that as well. You could use like any kind of wet glue, PVA glue. I don't think I would use glue stick. It wouldn't be heavy enough. So yeah, I'm just pressing this down, making sure it's all adhered, and then I use a bone folder to push the glue out from the middle to all of the edges, from the insides out. It helps keep it smooth and also adhered like all the way down. And here I'm ripping my first layer that's going to go on top of the card. And this is a thinner piece of black paper. It's not cardstock, but it's heavier than copy paper. So I'm just using a ruler that has a metal edge here to get a little bit of a torn look, and deciding how I want to put it. And I toyed around with putting it like on the diamond, but I thought that's crazy. No, it's not crazy, but I wasn't feeling it. So I went with it being square. And now I'm just sort of distressing the edges and rolling the edges a little bit. Yeah. So I'm going to set that aside. And now we're going to emboss the black paper with this large background stamp. And I wanted to explain here that I want this stamp to go off the edge of this black paper, like bleed off the edge of the black paper. And I really wanted to use the magnet to keep the paper in place to give me several chances in case I make a poor impression. But I couldn't really think of a way to do that. I mean, I could use stamp half and then remove the magnet and stamp another half, but I thought, you know what? Let's be brave. Let's be brave here and just go for it. And it worked out. It worked out really good. But also I want to mention here that if you wanted to, you could use one of those little pads of like talc or cornstarch or whatever first on your black paper before you stamp down that ink. And what that does is it removes any oils and but anyways, I didn't do that. I just kind of went with it and it worked out fine for me. But anyhow, so now I'm using a Versamark embossing ink. And this is basically a super sticky, invisible ink, like clear ink. Invisible is not the right word. Because, you know, if you hold it up and move it in the light, you can see something clear flickering. So, but yeah, it's very sticky. And its purpose is to now receive embossing powder. Because it's sticky, the powder sticks to it. And what happens with the powder is you use a heat tool, like a hair dryer or like a professional heat tool that you get like at an art store or a craft store, and it melts this powder, this embossing powder that I'm using now. And this is one from Brutus Monroe called Gilded, I believe. And so you just generously pour it all over, and then you tap it off on a piece of paper below. And if you know all this, and I'm sure most people do, just go by it. But if there's anybody new, it's always nice to include these things. So now, I think I'm gonna add a little more because I just want to be sure that I've got coverage everywhere. And shake it, get it all over, tap it off. And also you can give it a gentle flick in case you have too much somewhere, just a gentle flick. And yeah, I'm really happy with this. And so now, just in case you're new, you just take this paper now and you reuse all of this. There's no ink on this, there's no sticky mess on this. It's just the same way it came right out of the jar. So it's totally reusable. So slip it right back in there. And you know, somehow I still made a mess on my table. And I want to mention, definitely wipe that up because it'll blow everywhere and it'll also melt on your station. So wipe that away. And here we go. I'm heating it up now. And if you look closely, now and then when I move the card, you can actually see the embossing powder melting. It starts to turn really bright and get very reflective and three-dimensional as well, which is super cool. So love this technique, and it came out really good, especially for not using one of those talcum palk or cornstarch pads. So yeah, I'm gonna glue it down here.
I would anyways.
And just wanted to show you the amount of glue that I use. And I did use Fabrifix glue here. Want a nice strong glue here. Always check your card. I always open my card because you know, I made that mistake. Been there, done that. Included on wrong. So anyways, always open your card to put your layers on, you know, oriented the proper way. So here's our first layer. So now I'm going to use this deer stamp and this other embossing powder. And I really wanted black for the deer to match the black cardstock, but I don't have any black. But I had this like really dark midnight blue, and I've never used it before. So I thought, well, that would be really lovely. Sort of like a night scene. the deer in the night. So I thought, black and deep blue, those are definitely night colors. So I'm gonna give the blue a go and see if I like it. And if not, I'll redo it in black, is my thought process. Regular black ink, sorry, not embossing powder, because I don't have any. That probably was not clear. So yeah. Um, so yeah, I was gonna redo it in regular black ink, just like regular ink, nothing that you would emboss. But I'm gonna try this dark blue and see if it comes out good. So now I'm just picking up the stamp with the stamp positioner. And now I think what I'm doing here is really kind of deciding, do I really like the blue? Do I really want to do the blue? But with this black, am I really going to be brave and go against what I would normally do? Um, yeah, trying to break out of that pattern. So I do. I break out of it. Haha! Yay! I do, and I swear to you, this is all on camera. I made these decisions as I went. So yep, this is that sticky Versamark embossing ink, and just really getting it on there good on that deer, and then I feel like the paper that I'm using is not smooth. It's got like a texture, so I'm not sure if it's going to come out. This is also an experiment for me here. Typically, I would stamp on a smoother cardstock, but this cardstock has a texture. So I'm but I'm feeling good. Like I'm feeling the flow. So I'm feeling positive. Like it's gonna come out really great. So we'll see. So yeah, I'm going with that dark blue with that sparkle, which is, gosh, so pretty. Look, it looks like that nighttime sky. So pretty. Love, love. And get that all over. Give it a little shake and shake. And dump it off. So again, I didn't have or use that little cornstarch or talc pad thing. And the purpose of that is to, if there are any oils on your paper, that embossing powder will stick to those oils. Or if you get any ink on there, that you don't want, it'll stick to it. But one of the tricks I've used is like just take a little paintbrush like I just did and just brush it away where you don't want it. And then here I did want some, so I was sprinkling on some extra and just giving a little final touch and getting off some where I don't want it. And if you do this before you melt it, in other words, before you heat it, then you can get it off there. But if you heat it, you can't. It's sealed, it's permanent, it's done. So yeah, look at that. Didn't that come out nice? So shiny, so pretty. She's so pretty. So I love her. And now I'm thinking, I don't want to cover up that beautiful black and gold embossed background. So I decide to tear down the white paper, tear it down and tear it right down around the deer to make it much, much smaller to reveal that luscious background back there. I just definitely did not want to cover that up too much. Yeah. So here I'm just showing you how I'm tearing it. And so I don't love that the white is in between the legs. So what I'm going to do is take an X-Acto knife and cut it out. Okay, I'm doing something naughty. But I'm just one of those types, you know. I don't know. I get my hands dirty. I get in there. Yeah, I don't do what I'm doing. Don't what do the parents say? Whatever, don't do this. Really what you should be doing is putting like a nice piece of thick foam under here and then doing this or a self-healing mat. But, you know, I'm crazy and I just go for it. Um, but so yeah, so I cut it out successfully, all is well. And then I take the edge of my blade, which does dull it up, by the way, but I don't like the raw cut, so I drag the blade back and forth along it to make it jagged and look deckled like the card itself with the deckled edge or the torn edge. So here I'm going to make the piece stand out a little bit more with some black VersaFine ink. And right here, I don't like how white it is. I want more definition in there. I really want it deep in like a shadow in there. So I'm ripping out the white paper that I thought was too much and really kind of darkening up in that little corner there with the black ink to create some depth. Yeah. So I want to give the deer dimension. I want to pop it up from the page. I'm not going to just glue it down flat. I decide that I want to pop it up a little bit. But first, I'm going to use a stencil. This is a stencil that I got a few years back from a company called Lavinia Stamps. It's a fantastic company. They have a YouTube channel. I'm totally brand new to YouTube, so I'm not affiliated or endorsing. I just love it when I watch videos and people share info where they got things. I just love it when people pass things along. So it's from Lavinia Stamps, that stencil. And here's some embossing paste by Altenew. Same deal, just telling you what it is, not affiliated. Um, but yeah, I also explain in my videos, if you've seen others, that you can make your own. You don't need to buy this. You probably have some even. You can use household spackle or joint compound. You know, something that you'd patch like a little hole in the wall from a nail. That works great. Just make sure you wash your stencils right away because if it dries, you'll pretty much, you know, it's kind of stuck on there and you'll wreck it. So here I got a little bit on the paper, but I wiped it up right away. So it's good. And I'm deciding now to do it on the bottom as well. And it says on the directions of this paste that I'm using that it takes about, I think it says an hour and a half, but I let it dry for a while. But I'm impatient, so I end up just kind of working with it a little damp. But if you don't want to nick it or wreck it, you should definitely let it dry. Also, you can tint that paste. You can give it color with inks and dyes. But I wanted to leave mine white. So here I chose to reuse corrugated cardboard to pop up my deer. I do own like a roll of double-sided like three-dimensional foam tape. Um, and I do plan to use it up, but I'm a new woman and I'm learning new things, and I've always cared about the environment. And then when I learned to do that with cardboard, I thought, ooh, that's awesome. So, so anyways, that ink there is by Hero Arts, and that little blue cube there. And here I'm inking up the word grateful from that stamp set that I bought two of. So embarrassing. uh, but hey, I'm transparent and I'm always going to be honest with you. But anyhow, I'm stamping it in VersaFine black pigment ink, and I really want it to stand out on the that white cardstock that the base is created out of. So here, I don't know if you can see, but the part of it didn't stamp that great. So this is the beauty of this stamp positioner or repositioner. I'm not sure, but you get a second chance or even a third or fourth, and so I'm giving it a better impression here and giving it some more ink. So now it's important to let these dry because pigment inks smear. They take a while to dry. But the benefit of them is they really stand out crisp. So you know, I love me some gold. And I've been on this kick of using, well, I've always loved gold, but I've been using this Hero Arts gold paste wax for a while with this little brush that I don't clean and I let it get stiff on purpose because I like the texture that it allows me to build up on the edges when I apply this product. And I know there's many ways to use it. I'm sure you can use it like with stencils and I'm sure you can, you know, I can't even, I'm sure there's got to be so many things, but I'm just choosing to highlight here. And I love the shimmer and the depth that it gives when it's done and dry. So I'm going to put this aside and let this dry because it's pretty thick. I put it on pretty, you know, to give it some dimension and texture. So now I've used that little cube of navy blue ink there by Hero Arts to go around the edge of the card and give it some depth and pull in the blue from the deer. So the deer isn't the only lonely blue deer. It kind of pulls it in. And when the grateful piece is dry, I add some dark color to that as well to just sort of pull that in so it's all cohesive. And yeah, I definitely cannot stop with the gold. I love the gold, and I just decide to add some gold around the edges of the card along with that navy. And what I like to do here is pick random spots when I mix colors. I often mix my ink colors, like I'll pick two or three, but I don't go over the whole thing, you know, with all of them. I pick random spots so that they all get a little show. They all get shown off and get a little stage presence. So I do the same here with that navy and the gold. I give both of it some balanced but whimsical presence. But here I'm feeling like it's a little polka dot like looking like I'm like it's not um it's not looking whimsical enough for me. It's almost looking intentional. So in my opinion, so I go back in and my fix to that is I take the same product and I just pick a few areas and I really thicken it and make it bigger, larger, so that it didn't look all the same size. And in the end, it looks more unintentional and not planned and more free. And I love that sense of freedom. So now things are pretty dry. and dry enough. I'm impatient. I want to make this card. I want to make this card here. So I'm using a piece of Amazon packaging again to pop up the word grateful, but I want to let you know that when it's corrugated, it can lift like over time, um like the front and the back can separate, and it would be real tedious to like take it apart and glue it and put it back together. So I just skip that. And I basically am going to trust that it's going to be just fine in years to come. And just want to mention, though, it may not be, but I'm going to trust that it is going to be. And so now I'm gluing it to the sentiment, grateful. And then I glue the back of the corrugated piece to the card base. That's what I'm doing now. This would make a great holiday card too. Um, really lovely holiday card. And also you could change up the colors and, make it a woodland card. You could make it a masculine card. You could make it red and green if you celebrate Christmas. It makes a great Hanukkah card. Just really lovely. It's got so much versatility. So yeah, it's pretty much done here. This is pretty much the finished product. And here I was just showing you that I added just a little bit before that dried, that embossing paste dried. I added a little bit, I sprinkled on with my fingers a little bit of that powder, but I did not melt it. I do not think you're intended to melt that paste, that white paste. So I just put it there and knew that it would harden in it when it would dry because I put it on when it was still wet. So yeah, this is the finished card. And I just want to thank everybody. If anybody's interested in my videos, it just means the world to me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I love building a community. I love supporting each other. And thank anybody who's new, and thank anybody who's subscribed all along and continues to support me, and means the world to me. And I love talking with you all. So thank you so much, and hope you have a really restful day or night or wherever you are.